Hey everyone, picking up right where we left off in this video, we are going to add the enemy units. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's take the tank image and drag and drop that into the scene. Let's move that up a little bit so it's easier to see. First thing we need to do, we need to add a collider so that collisions can be detected, specifically so the ship can shoot it. So with the tank selected, click on Add Component, Physics 2D, and we will use Polygon Collider 2D. Basically, you can see this green outline. It has now set up a collider that surrounds the image. We're going to set that as a trigger. And then we're going to create a script, although not do anything with it at the moment. Right-click, Create, C#, and we'll call this Tank Con. We'll click on our tank object. We'll drag and drop the tank con. And then what we're going to do, we're going to create a prefab. All a prefab is when you take an image from your, an object from your scene and you drop it into the asset area. So if I do this, it creates a prefab. So if I delete this from the scene, if I take the prefab and I put, say, 20 instances of this, if I change the prefab, all 20 instances will update. So if I update the script, they'll all update. If I update the visual, because this is a placeholder image, we would just replace this image here, this asset, then all those would update. So whenever you can, use prefabs. That way when you update the prefab, all the instances update. The last thing that we're going to do with this at the moment, we're going to create a tag, and I'll explain a little bit more what that's for in a couple minutes. So with the object selected, click Open Prefab, go up to Tag, go to Add Tag, click on the plus sign. We'll call this tank. We'll save. Keep in mind that does not actually put the tag on the object. You simply created a new tag. So make sure your tank object is still selected, and then see how it says tag untagged? Set that to tank. And I'll explain in a minute what we're using that for. Okay, so that gives us our tank object. Let's just go ahead and drag and drop that into the scene. And we'll just place someone somewhere. Next, let's go ahead and create the missile. So we take the missile image, drag and drop that into the scene. Similarly, we're going to Add Component, Physics 2D, and we're going to add Polygon Collider 2D, and we're also going to set that to a trigger. Now what we're going to do, we are going to add a script, which again we'll get back to in a minute. So right-click, Create, C#, and we'll call this Missile Con. Take our missile, we'll put Missile Con on it, and then we'll take our missile and we will put that into the asset area, turn it into a prefab. We'll delete the original, and then we'll just put this one back in just to make sure that it's using a prefab. Now, just like the tank, we're going to add a tag. So let's go to our missile. We go to Open Prefab, Tag, Add Tag, plus, we'll call this Missile. And again, make sure the missile is selected, go back to Tag, and select it. Now, unlike the tank, the missile will need a rigid body because the rigid body will allow it to have velocity, whereas the tank doesn't move, the missile does. So we're going to click on the missile prefab, and then we're going to click on Open Prefab, and then we're going to click on Add Component, Physics 2D, and we're going to click on Rigid Body 2D. And gravity scale will be 0 for the moment. And then we can just back out. Now what we're going to do, we are going to add the same components to the ship. So we already have the rigid body, so that's all set, but does not have the collider. So Add Component, Physics 2D, and we're going to do Polygon Collider 2D, You can see there's like a green border, so that is the limits of the collider. We'll also set it to be a trigger. And now let's go ahead and create the bomb object. So we'll take that image, put that into the scene. Just move that up. Add physics 2D, rigid body 2D. This case, we are going to keep the gravity scale, which I'll explain in a minute, but let's make it like, say, 0.6. Actually, sorry, negative. No, 0.6, sorry, it does need to be, because it's going to drop down. The missile, on the other hand, will have a negative to move up. So, sorry, I was getting them confused. Gravity scale, 0.6, so we don't want it to fall at full gravity speed, but it needs to be a positive number, whereas the missile is going to be a negative number. So bomb will also need a script. So right click, create C#, and we'll call this bombcon. We'll click on bomb, and we'll add the bombcon script. And then we will take that and put that into the prefab area, the asset area rather, turning it into a prefab. And then actually, did I add, let's open that prefab. So rigid body, I did not add the collider. So add component, physics 2D, polygon collider. And this is a good example of how if you're changing the prefab, it'll change any instance of it. That once you create the prefab, it's not etched in stone. You can continue to make changes to the prefab. It too will be a trigger. And then we just back out. And the last thing will be the bullets for the ship. So we'll take the shot object. You can move that up so you can see the size of it. Add component, physics 2D, rigid body 2D, no gravity. And add component, physics 2D. We'll do collider, and it will also be a trigger. And we'll take the shot, and we'll put that into the asset area. And it too will need a script. So right click, create C#, shotcon, take the shot, open prefab, put the script on it. Okay, so we've put a lot of things into place. What are we now going to do with it? Well, let's delete the shot from the scene. So what we're going to do, the ship is going to fire a shot forward as well as be able to drop bombs. So we need two different input checks. So let's go to the script that is attached to the ship. And we need to make the ship aware of those two objects. So public transform, and we'll just call it shot, and public transform, and we'll just call that bomb. Come back to the ship. We'll see that those are now there. So use the prefab. So the shot is the shot object, and the the bomb is the bomb object. And now we just have to look for a keyboard input. So in the update section, we're going to say if input, and I'm just going to use the keyboard. If input dot get key down, so by using get key down, if you press the key, it's only true for one frame, and we'll use space and we will instantiate the shot object. So if you haven't seen instantiate, it has three arguments. What is being instantiated, where it's being instantiated, and its rotation. So shot is being instantiated. It's being instantiated at transform.position. sort of. So here's the thing. That would put it at the dead center of the ship, and you really don't want it there. You want it kind of pushed forward a little bit. So rather than just saying transform.position, we're going to break it down into its two coordinates. It's x and y. So new vector 2, and so we'll take transform.position and extract the x from it. So that's what we want to change. So we want it to be just in front of it. So maybe +1. We can always change it if that's too far ahead of it. And then transform.position.y. So that should be fine. We shouldn't have to change the y because we want it to be the center. And then the third argument is rotation. We'll use the shot's own rotation. So it looks a little crazy, but first argument, what's being instantiated. Second, where it's being instantiated. And we're just breaking down the x and the y, and then the rotation. Now, the shot itself doesn't really have any controls on it. So we added a script to it, but we didn't do anything with that. Now, this is attached to the prefab. So I make a change to this, it'll change the prefab. We can remove the remark statements, the double forward slashes. And basically, when this gets instantiated, we're just going to say get component, rigid body 2D. And this, we need to use a velocity. And it's going to be new vector 2. It's going to be positive. We want to fire kind of fast, so let's say 3, but it's not moving vertically, so it'll be 0. And I think that should make it work if I haven't missed anything. So the shot, the script is attached. All right, let's give this a try. So at the space. So a few things. Obviously, we're going to want to put in a control so you can't shoot it too fast. And the other thing is that it's moving really slow. So let's bump that up to 6. I'm not going to worry about putting in the delay. That's really a control for later. This is just showing you the basics. If you want, maybe I can do like a final video that does like a debug and puts in some things like that. So much faster, much better. And let's go ahead and add the bomb drop now. So let's go back to our scripts. We'll go to shipcon, and what we'll do, we're going to copy this and paste it, partly out of laziness and partly to reiterate that this is just rinse and repeat. I already demonstrated how to do a key press. It's just going to be a different key press. Let's use B for bomb, and it's going to be the bomb object that will get instantiated. The X position is probably fine because it's centered, but we're going to want it to be slightly below the ship, so maybe minus 0.32F. And then what we need to do is we need to control how many there are. So let's test this first, and then we'll put in a control to make sure that you can only have 2 bombs at a time because the original Scramble only let you have 2. That's a control that you might want to change, maybe 3, maybe 4, but there should be a control in place there. And so it's B. Now in the original, it dropped straight, or there was this, I don't know if it was intentional, but if you were moving forward and then you suddenly press back when you hit the bomb button, it would like arch out forward. I never knew if that was a glitch or if it was intentional. This kind of makes sense visually because it's being dropped from beneath you, but if you want it to drop in tandem with you, you would need to give it some forward velocity. So in this case, what you'd have to do is you'd have to like move forward and then you drop your bomb. So it depends on how you want to do this, but I seem to remember that the bomb would drop in tandem with this. So you would need to give it the same forward velocity. So what you could do is on the bomb script, right now there isn't anything there, so we can get rid of this and this. Again, those are just remark statements. We can use that base speed. So we have base speed. So we can apply that to velocity. So in the bomb script, get component rigid body 2D dot velocity equals new vector 2, and it would be we have to declare where that variable is we have to say where that variable is declared, which is game flow script, and it's base speed. And we can do a 0 for velocity because the gravity will handle that anyways. Let's see how that looks. So let's move forward a bit and drop a few bombs. So now it's dropping with you, so it was that easy to fix that. So actually, I think that's a good place to stop. I don't want this video to be too long. So we'll do one more video which will handle all the collisions. There's about 7 or 8 different combinations. We already put a lot of the components into place that will make the collisions occur, but I really want to handle that as its own topic. And this will also give you a chance to make any comments if there's additional functionality you'd like to see, because I believe there'll only be one more video as it stands, but this will give you a chance to ask for additional functionality, which would then be like a 4th or a 5th video. So I hope that you have found this useful, helpful, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.